How the devil can food have grams of fiber? Isn't fiber a descriptive property like how fibrous a food is? How can an adjective have weight? I don't understand what dietary fiber is, and that's kind of embarrassing, so I decided to be brave and look it up. After reading this journal article and a lot of .gov pages with a very annoying focal point, I have ascertained the following. Put into my own words, dietary fiber is the amount of food that contains non-digestible carbohydrates of more than 10 monometric units, which can be from intrinsic insoluble plant matter or from soluble synthetics. And that's all very boring sounding, so instead I've converted it into a terminally online friendly cute little graphic. Is sawdust dietary fiber? No. While it is made up of big plant carbs that don't dissolve in water, it's not food. If someone wants to sell you sawdust, they would have to prove that it is grass. No, not grass. Grass. GRAS, generally regarded as safe. Which, to be clear, it's not. How about that weird powder from the commercials that they tip it into a glass of water that's already spinning and it dissolves into invisible and it's also 0 calories? How the hell is that fiber? That would be synthetic, calm down, Gwen, fiber. A thing made through industrial processes, which was either made from scratch in a lab or had just the fibrous bits, just the useful non-digestible and therefore non-nutritional parts extracted out of it. So just the parts that you can safely drop down the gullet but have 0 bioavailability, meaning that your digestive system cannot extract any energy, nutrients, or water out of it. Are apples fiber? Yes, obviously. Are all these different sources of dietary fiber, again, as measured by weight, all created equal? No. That's why basically all evidence-based reputable dietary guidelines suggest that you ought to eat a diet with varied sources of fiber in addition to all the other nutrients. You know, something that looks like a happy little Friends Across America of food photography. Is raw steak that claws down your intestines on the way out, is that fiber? No. Dummy, it's not carbs. Which brings me to this weird-ass experience I had in the comment section of someone else's video. Okay, so here's what happened. I made the following banal observation underneath a good work video, specifically the one about slop holes, basically foods that are like this. And I said, it's one of the only kind of fast foods where you could get a vegetable. Banal, uninteresting, but I got there in the first 30 minutes, and therefore it's a top comment, which, while pleasant for my synapses in one way, ooh, look at all those numbers, very unpleasant in another, which is that the next time I logged into YouTube and I opened up my notifications, holy cow, there were so many responses to that comment. I don't know, it didn't seem like I had enough meat to respond to, but whatever. Enough meat to respond. Here's what happened. I got a variety of replies that were something to the effect of, yeah, but vegetables are bad for you. And I thought, at first, humor, I am familiar. Something in the vein of kids rule, no parents, candy for dinner. But then I saw more comments and I thought, they're all so similar. This has got to be a reference to something that I am not familiar with, which itself is a very familiar experience for me. But as it kept clicking, I realized most of these people are serious. There really are people out here on God Emperor Al Gore's blessed internet, people who sincerely think vegetables are bad for you. Originally I was gonna make this the first in a series that I'm trying to make called Clicks to Idiocy, which is where I try to figure out how many clicks it takes to get to the brain dead core of a dumb thing circulating online. But in this case, it only took 2 clicks. It wouldn't really fit with the premise. It's organ meat freak stuff. That's why I got all those replies. You know, Liver King, Paul Saladino. And these 2 dipsticks. They're very influential amongst our most impressionable pudding-brained cousins and brothers. That's the type of person who left a nearly identical comment over and over again. They're real into the carnivore diet thing, even though that has absolutely no factual basis. Humans are omnivores, like the doy. And the reason I decided to make this video about fiber is that, one, I've always wondered this my whole life, and I finally found an answer. But specifically to shoehorn this part into it, is that I think I've made a breakthrough. I think I know why this sort of guy is ever present on the internet, permanently mad and permanently mean. I think I know why. It's because they spend hours upon hours a day, every day, doom scrolling on the toilet because they're so fucking constipated. Eat a single broccolo, my guy.